Hello, boys and girls. Let's get into our mindful bodies to start. I have my bowl now. Were you able to stay centered? Were you able to focus on only your breath? If not, challenge yourself to practice mindfulness a little bit more this week if you haven't had a chance to. I know we've been learning a lot of new things, you and I. And I'll admit too that sometimes it's difficult to remember to practice your mindfulness. But let's all make an effort, me and you, to just find 5 minutes or even 30 seconds 10 times a day to practice mindfully breathing and thinking. If you remember before spring break, the last lesson we talked about was generosity. That was a little bit more on heartfulness. Well, today we are going to do a little bit more with our breathing. Only we're going to do it in the context of thinking about our thoughts, which is a funny thing to say or think about, thinking about one's thoughts. But here's what I want you to try paying attention to. When we pay attention to our breath mindfully, we are in the present moment, right here, right now. But as we know, our mind has a tendency to wander. Sometimes it wanders to the past and sometimes to the future. What that means for my younger students, sometimes we wander to think about what happened yesterday, and sometimes we start thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. So for example, let's say where I'm sitting right now, right here with my hands, I'm paying attention to my breathing right here, right now. But then my mind starts to think about dinner tonight. And so I end up going this way towards which way? The future or is that the past? I guess it depends on when you're watching the video. Right now I'm thinking about lunch. I haven't had lunch yet. So I'm thinking about the future. Now I can notice that, and then I can bring my mind back to my anchor, back to my breath. And then I'm paying attention again, mindfully breathing, but then I start thinking about all the things I didn't get done yesterday. Or I'm thinking about something one of my brothers or sisters said, or my kids said in the past. Well, I gave the answer away. I went that way, wandered to the past. And I can bring my breath back to the present. Again, I can notice that thought, and bring it back. So now we're going to try doing that. We're going to be mindful of our breath for 1 minute. And I want you to notice if your mind escapes to the past or to the future. And when you notice your mind escaping from the present moment, in your mind, I want you to say thinking, thinking, and then bring your attention back and return to that mantra of breathing in, breathing out. And as you're doing this, obviously I can't watch you to see you raise your hand if you notice your mind wandering. But maybe if you're doing this with your family, maybe one of you can keep your eyes open and just notice. While everyone else, anytime your mind wanders, notice it and raise your hand. And then bring it back and focus again on breathing in, breathing out. Okay, let's try it. I'm going to put my hands on my anchor spot. Maybe yours is on your belly, on your chest, for 1 minute. How'd that go for you? Did your mind wander a lot? Did you find yourself wandering into the past or more into the future? I noticed the most my mind wandering towards the future. A little bit towards the past too, but a lot of worrying about the future. Later today, later this week, later in the school year, my mind kept going towards the future. So I had to keep bringing it back to that center, to that breath again. That breathing in and that breathing out, okay? I mean, it is okay to notice that, to notice what you're thinking about. So here are some things I want to leave you with today. And then I want you to spend a few minutes today and every day between now and next week, Thursday, when the next lesson will come out, to practice your mindful breathing especially. And you might not have a singing bowl like I do to help focus you. Maybe you have something else that makes a nice long ringing sound. Something that you and your family can agree on should be your mindfulness sound. My son Teddy really likes the singing bowl that I brought home. And every time I ring it, I have it in the kitchen, and I'll ring it sometimes, and he'll come running, and he'll put his hands up here, close his eyes, and do that mindful breathing. Maybe your family can get something like that too, to help you remember to practice. Okay, so sometimes we have thoughts we don't want to have. By noticing them, we can more easily let those thoughts go. By noticing them, acknowledging them, and then saying, all right, now let's focus on the present again. Sometimes we are thinking when we are supposed to be listening, especially hard when we have to listen through a screen, right? And so if we notice that, we can be mindful and come back to listening to our teacher. Sometimes we have the same thoughts over and over and over, even though we don't need to. And when we're mindful of them and we notice them, we don't believe them as much. I know a thought that I've shared with my students before and with my family, a thought that I come back to a lot is anyone getting anything out of what I'm doing? Whether it be teaching in the classroom or doing music at Mass. And, one thing that I've come to realize is, especially getting comments, I'm doing, Facebook Live things and trying to post videos and songs and posting Mass at my other parish, is how much people appreciate it. Noticing how many people watch the Masses when they're posted, like 1,400 people watching the Masses when they're posted, and realizing that, well, what I'm doing maybe is important. But having that thought over and over again, I can notice that thought, and then I can set it aside and focus on my breath again. Now, this is a really useful mind tool. For the next few days, try to notice your thoughts. You might notice them while you're in class or while you're outside playing or while you're trying to sleep. Next time you can tell me, either in the Google Classroom, I might have you write me a little comment, or if you want to record a little something for me, tell me when you notice your thoughts. And the journal questions for today, hopefully you have your mindfulness journal, otherwise you can grab another notebook or piece of paper to use. How many thoughts do you think a person has each day? Is it easy or hard for you to stay focused on your breathing? during your mindfulness? And how do you feel when you are focused on your breathing? And how do you feel when you are lost in your thinking? Let's finish with the singing bowl one more time. And then we'll take 3 mindful breaths. And how about I'll say breathing in, breathing out to help us with that mantra. Okay? Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Have a mindful day, and we'll see you next week.